Hello y'all, this is The Sun Sets, a Hearts of Iron 4 mod that is set in a world where the British Empire never existed. The timeline diverges in the 1660s when Richard Cromwell manages to retain power over the Commonwealth in England. Here we are on the select country screen, and there are, say, 12 different notable nations here, and they are France, Mexico, the United Kingdom, the German Empire, Italy, Japan, the Russian Commonwealth, the Chinese Empire, the Chinese Republic, the Sichuan clique, Scandinavia, and Poland-lithuania. Let's see what this modification has in store, and I am playing this on the Waking the Tiger version of Hearts of Iron 4, and that came out in 2018, and this mod has not really been updated since, as far as I know. So this is a relatively ancient version of Hearts of Iron 4. And let's now, well, for the sake of some lore to explain why a place like Aquitania exists and why Piedmont is independent, maybe, and why France is generally in the state it's in. Well, besides the British Empire never really existing in the Sun Sets, France went on to be the country that dominated Western European politics for some time. But 15 years ago, like 15 to 20 years ago from, say, this world's version of World War I, I guess, we started in 1936. In this world's version of the Great War, France lost, and it lost a lot of its influence and power. And all the countries in Western Europe are trying to fill that power vacuum. So that's why France is in such a, I guess, a partition or balkanized state. With that out of the way, let's look at the technology tree. And just staring at it, it seems that it is essentially what was... It's identical to the vanilla HOI4 tech tree during the time it existed when Waking the Tiger was out, and it was the latest DLC. So just for some context, in Waking the Tiger, there's no combat rework yet, there's no armor rework yet, I don't think there's any ship rework yet, and there's certainly no aircraft rework yet. And with that, it seems, yeah. So let's go ahead and look at something like the ideologies, and this mod has 6 of them, and they are a few unique ones here, and they're interesting. You have Vokist, Anarchist, Dominist, Social Vokist, Socialist, and Voke Dominist. And I'll explain what Vokist, Dominist, Social Vokist, and Voke Dominist are by going over to different countries that have the ideologies, and I'll read the description for them. So let's first look at Vokist, because it's the first one, and, well, it was the number 1 on the list of ideologies there, and we'll look at Bulgaria, who has that as its ideology, and it says, Vokism, perhaps the most ancient of ideologies, is the belief that the fundamental unit in society is the nation or the Voke. To secure the survival and unity of the Voke, power is secured in a small, exclusive elite. The Vokist may very well end up the first governments toppled by disgruntled revolutionaries. Next is Dominist, and the German Empire has that, and it says, let me see, Dominism emerged as one of the primary ideologies of the 19th century, with the term originally referring to French Dominism, the belief that history tends toward an inevitable victory of France over all other nations. As France was the stronghold of democracy, the term has now been appropriated to describe democratic systems who believe liberal democracy to be the end goal of history, usually combined with a belief that it must be spread throughout the world through colonialism. Next, there is Social Vokism, and France has that in 1936, and it says here, Social Vokism has its foundations in the nationalist movements of the 19th century, when the unifying force behind a people became not the strength of a single leader, but the shared heritage and culture between them. As such, social vokists do not value the happiness of monarchs, but rather wish to secure the will of the people. Rather, it's pan-nationalism or the destruction of an ancient enemy. Of course, a lot can be justified in the name of the people. And our last ideology to go over is Volk-Dominism, which I think, okay, Romania has it, and it says, well, it states, Volk-Dominism can best be described as a system where leaders rule through democratic mandate while holding temporary or indefinite authoritarian powers in order to safeguard the state. While Volkists are openly despotic, Volk-Dominists tend to retain at least a semblance of constitutionalism. So I guess maybe it's a constitutional monarchy or fake constitutional monarchy, I don't really know. And at this point we're going to go over every country in the world, and we'll start in South America. And here there is Colombia, who has eaten, they have what could be considered Venezuela and Ecuador under their control. We have the Brazilian Empire, they're there. Here's the Peru-Bolivian Confederation. Argentina is to their south. And we have Chile. So 5 major countries in South America, really. And we have some territory controlled by the Netherlands here, and Guyana and Suriname and French Guiana. And let's go across the Atlantic. We'll see what's going on in Africa, and a huge German presence here, without a doubt. Hardly any British colonies at all. We have the Spanish in Morocco. In North Africa, there is, say, Algeria. What could be seen as Algeria is the German Mandate of the Sahara. They're a puppet of Germany. Then in West Africa, we have the German Mandate of the Niger, and Scandinavian West Africa and Ghana. And the British are in Liberia and Sierra Leone, it looks like, yes. And going more into Libya, to the north, we have Italy. Egypt is independent. Ethiopia is in the Horn of Africa. They're both independent, Egypt and Ethiopia are. Then in Central Africa, getting more toward the Congo, there is the German Mandate of the Congo. We have the German Mandate of Zambaziland below them. And who controls Madagascar? Okay, it's the German Mandate of Zambaziland, okay. Then in the very bottom part of Africa, we have the Cape. There is the Cape Republic, and they are a puppet, well, a subject of the Netherlands. And let's go over to Australia, and we'll make our way up to Asia, through there, go through Oceania. And Australia in this timeline is New Holland, and they are a subject of the Dutch, and they control both what could be considered Australia and New Zealand. Then we have the Dutch East Indies, and going more north toward Asia, we have the Spanish Commonwealth in the Philippines. Japan controls Indochina. Siam is around. There's Burma, and here is a very divided China. And in this divided China, there is some warlords and places like the Yi Republic, the Sichuan clique, the Chinese Republic, the Chinese Empire, the Ma clique, and Tibet. And Japan is dominating Manchuria and Korea, it looks like, yes. Then we have a bunch of, I think, Russian subjects here in parts of what could be seen as parts of China and Siberia. So we have Mongolia, puppet of Russia, East Turkestan, Russian puppet, Siberian autonomy, Russian puppet. And just to cover our bases in Central Asia, there's a giant Turkestan, and they are a Russian puppet. And Bashkuria, they are a Russian puppet. And going south now toward India, the Indian subcontinent, we have, say, Nepal, Tibet, there's Bhutan, there's the Dogra Empire, and they are a major power in India. Then in the southern portion of the Indian subcontinent, there's Dravidia. Over in Ceylon, it's controlled by the Netherlands. We have, who's this? Oh, Dravidia controls the Maldives. Interesting. So, we're going to the Middle East now. Here can be found Afghanistan, Persia, the Kurdish SR, who is a subject of the Arab Socialist Republic. We got Armenia, Basra, Arabia. Here's Yemen and Muscat, and the Arabian Peninsula. And over in, say, Palestine, and Jordan is, well, Jordan. And in Anatolia, there's the Ottoman Empire, and the Greeks control Cyprus. And we'll go over Europe now. And here, we'll go through the Caucasus. We have the Caucasian republics. They are a subject of Russia. There's the Comic Republic, they're a subject of Russia. The Don Republic, subject of Russia. The Mordovan Republic, subject of Russia. Ukraine, subject of Russia. And here is the Russian Commonwealth, who leads a faction called the Comintern. And why is there so many? Why are they so decentralized? It's like one half of the country. Like, they have so many subjects. My goodness, whatever. We have Finland, who controls a good portion of territory. They have Murmansk, it looks like. Are they a monarchy? I don't know. But going on to the Baltics, we have Estonia. There is Courland, and they are guaranteed their independence by the German Empire. And below them is Poland-Lithuania. And let's go into more of Central Europe. Slovakia is here. Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Serbia is around. Here's the Albanian Commonwealth. No, not the Commonwealth. The Albanian communes. And going up north, there is Great Croatia. Here is Austria with some very interesting borders. We got the Czech Republic. And we're more toward Western Europe now. And we got, well, there is the German Empire, and they lead a faction called the Deutsche Bürgerreich. It looks like, yes. And there is Switzerland, Italy, Piedmont, who is not part of Italy, which is interesting. Wallonia, here's the Netherlands, and they got 3 puppets. And we have a unified Scandinavia for the most part, so Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland, and Norway are all one country, and they control Greenland as well. And let's go over to France, and we have France, of course, and Aquitania to their south. And Piedmont, I just realized, controls Corsica and Sardinia. And over in the Iberian Peninsula, we have the Spanish Commonwealth and the Portuguese Commonwealth. And going away from mainland Europe, there is the United Kingdom, who does exist, but they don't really have a empire. But they do have all of Ireland under their control, which is interesting. And we'll cross the Atlantic now and go into North America. Here can be found Canada, who is part of a faction. We have Mexico, who has territory stretched. They control Alaska. There's Mexican Alaska in the Sunsets. Wow. And they control a lot of Central America as well. Interesting. And we got independent Panama. Well, not independent. They're actually a subject of the German Empire. They're a puppet. And over in Cuba, it's controlled by Mexico. Haiti, controlled by Mexico. And what else? What else? They control Jamaica. The Spanish control what could be seen as the Dominican Republic. They have they have Puerto Rico as well, who controls this territory here. Part of the, I guess you could call it the West Indies, is controlled by the German Empire, and another portion is held by the United Kingdom. And in what is usually the USA, we have the American Commonwealth, who leads a faction called the Columbian Protocol, and that is them, the American Commonwealth. The Mississippian Commonwealth, which is to the west of the American Commonwealth, and Canada. And this has been the Sunsets. If you like the mod, you can check it out in the video description. The link to it is there. What do you think of it? Tell me in the comments below. And after you do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then ring the bell for notifications.